Everyone, welcome back to Allcarnews, and we're here with our first GM press vehicle on the channel. This is the 2023 Chevrolet Colorado Z71 in this awesome glacier blue package. It has the smaller 18-inch wheel option. And if you don't know what the Z71 package in the Colorado lineup is, it's basically a blend of the little bit more off-road focused Trailboss as well as the other packages, and it's kind of a blend of a street truck as well as a little bit of an off-roader as well, though it's not as extreme as the hardcore ZR2. This one's coming in almost around $49,000 as spec'd, though it can start around the lower $40,000 range to get in this Z71 package. And it's pretty much a nice blend, like I said, of some nice on-road features as well as a little bit of some off-road goodiness. So I've been driving this thing around for the past week, and let's dive in and I'll show you how it's been like to live with over this past week, as well as all the cool features that you can get on this newer generation Chevrolet Colorado. Now, before we dive into the exterior tour of this new Colorado, let's take a look at what's going on under the hood, because there's some pretty significant changes made over on this newer generation, and there's essentially one engine with a whole bunch of different power outputs. When this launched it back, well, I guess 2023 now, there were about 3 different power outputs for this new engine. Now, if you don't know, there's only one engine now for the Chevrolet Colorado, and it's a 2.7 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It's a pretty beefy engine. It's some cool turbo technology, but that does mean the diesel option is gone, as well as the V6. So you only have this one engine, and it started out in a little bit of a lower horsepower range in the 230-ish. That engine's actually gone for the 2024 model year. So now we have this one that we find in the Z71, which makes 310 horsepower and a massive 390 pound-feet of torque. Now there is another option you can get in the ZR2, which is a little bit of a higher torque output, but again, that one's going to be still exclusive to that ZR2 model. Nonetheless, though, this is a fantastic engine, and believe it or not, for the Colorado. It's also found in the base trim of the Silverado, which is a lot bigger than this, and it also makes more power and torque than both the old V6 and the diesel option, which is pretty impressive. Okay, guys, let's talk about the exterior changes on the new Colorado. This one you can definitely pick out with the red tow hooks up front, as well as the Z71 badge and the unique grille design on this particular model. I really like this new bold fascia from Chevy. Looks really nice. You also have the blacked out Chevrolet badge up here. No flow tie, which is a kind of transparent Chevy badge for some more higher performance models, but I think it still looks really good. We also do have LED lights on this one, though the turn signals are still halogen kind of bulbs, and we do have LED fog lights on this one as well, which is a nice touch. And we also have this nice little LED accent DRL up top, which looks quite sleek. I think it gives it a nice little touch, and it's all very well integrated onto the front fascia. Down here, we have a little bit of a better approach angle, though I believe this piece, it would be cool if this was removed. You can probably get a better approach angle, but you can see the tow hooks are kind of integrated in little holes in this little kind of lower air dam. Otherwise, it's not too bad. I believe there's a skid plate option you can get on the Z71, but this one does not have it. This one's missing one other key option. It does have a 360-degree camera view. That one does not have this, unfortunately. I think that would have been a great choice. I think it's less than $1,000 as an option. And any kind of off-road vehicle should really be having that. It's a fantastic feature to use. This one you are seeing has the 18-inch wheels, which are the standard wheel option on the Z71, though you can get a more of a street tire, which comes with a 20-inch wheel, a little bit more of a street-looking wheel as well. These are definitely more a little bit off-roady with this Goodyear Wrangler all-terrain tires on it. And of course, that 20-inch wheel is going to come with a much slimmer, lower-profile tire on it as well, if you don't want kind of all the off-road chops and you just want a little bit more of the premium features you'll be getting on the inside of this Z71. And I have to say, this glacier blue paint is actually quite nice. I have to say the paint quality itself is quite nice. There's a lot of nice sparkle and reflection going on to it. Looks really cool in the sun and in the shade, so I have to give some GM some props. And I also have to give them some props for the new design on it. It's a little bit more boxy and bulky than the old Colorado. That one's a little bit more smoothed out. And you can really tell they focused on that on this hood over here. There's really deep and strong and muscular arches going on in it. Back here we can see this cool Z71 sticker on the side to kind of let you know you're in the Z71. You can see this one has the optional spray and bed liner as well, which is pretty nice. Definitely a nice feature. And this one also has another feature as well, where it gives you the dampened rear tailgate, which is a nice touch. And you also have this other option with all these kind of tie down hooks throughout the bed of this Colorado, which is a nice feature. We have a big waterproof socket on the side over here as well, and I believe this one does not have the option. There's another option for some in-bed kind of lights as well. This one doesn't have that. So there's a few little options that this one doesn't have, but generally it's pretty well spec'd. I really do like this little feature over here. If you unlock these two little bars, you have this kind of waterproof sealed storage cubby back here. Maybe if you want to throw some boots or some wet gear, you can see it's a little bit moist in here. I guess someone had something in here, but there is a weatherproof seal around it. So if you want to shove some stuff in here, if you're going camping or something, this is a cool little storage cubby, and it's easily accessible. And you can lock it real nice and easy with these little manual levers right here. That's kind of cool. There's almost like an integrated ruler on the back of the bed as well, which is kind of funny. And it looks like there's some cup holder marks as well on the back of the bed. So if you want to chill out, sit on it, have a nice tailgate party, I think it's a cool little feature. And again, it's damped, so it's not going to be harsh to open and close. You can see down here we have air tow hook, as well as a full-size spare tire underneath here as well, which is a fantastic feature. Now this one is still using a kind of a leaf spring style rear suspension. It does have off-road style shocks, which it shares with the Trailboss, though it doesn't get again that lift kit that you're going to get on the Trailboss, or it doesn't get the cool multi-matic suspension that you're going to find on the ZR2. Now back here we do have some integrated steps on the side, as a little bit like a little grab point here, which also is for accessories. Though I don't know how useful this kind of side step is. I guess if you need to hop into the rear bed a little bit easier, you can do it. It feels very sturdy as well, so not too bad of a feature. Nice aggressive metal bumper as well, which is nice. And we do have rear parking sensors integrated into this rear bumper area, which is quite cool. This new Colorado only comes in this kind of crew cab format with this 5-foot 2-inch bed. And of course, that means we have rear seats. Opening the doors, you can check out the interior right here. Now, I will say this one, the rear doors feel a little bit cheap when you close them. They kind of have this hollow thunking sound compared to the front doors. A little bit of a difference right there. Now, going inside, you can see it's a little bit cramped in here, and that's kind of the same with the old Colorado. We do have a little bit more room than we did previously, though it's nothing to be kind of excited about. We do have rear privacy glass, which is nice. Pretty much rugged materials back here. It's kind of like this ruggedized red stitching material on the sides. A little bit soft, but still kind of rough. This one does have perforated seats up front. I believe there's kind of 3 seating material options you can get. A bit of a high step in to get in. I believe there's an option for these kind of like side steps, but this one does not have it. Shut the door up. And this is the rear seats of the new Colorado. And I'm sitting behind myself right now. It's not that bad, though it's really not fantastic back here. You can see I've a little bit limited actually foot space, so I'm kind of limited to this little box right here. I can't put my feet under the seat. We do have a storage cubby back here as well as on the passenger side. 2 big cup holders, which is nice, as well as this little like phone holder in the center. Our own climate vents, as well as a USB-C and USB-A outlet right there, which is kind of nice. And you do sit higher than the front passenger and driver, which is kind of cool. So you can kind of get like a little bit of a bird's eye view over the front end. Nice big rear windows, which is quite nice. And you do have a manually open little port window in the back over here if you want to kind of look into the bed or get some fresh air back here. That's kind of cool. This rear glass is heated, as you can see. You also are getting this center console with more cup holders, I believe, in it as well, which is nice. So that's a nice little touch. I don't know if you'd want to put 3 people back here. You probably could, but it's really, really cramped and tight. So I personally don't think I would. Let's hop up front. Now we do have keyless access on this one, so you can just kind of press this button to unlock the vehicle. Of course, we have push button start stop here, so put our foot on the brake, power this button up. A nice little animation from the digital dash, as well as this standard kind of 11.3-inch touchscreen system. It is a Google-based infotainment system, and thankfully it does still have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless too, which is really nice. And you know, GM's gonna be taking that away allegedly in their newer electric vehicles coming out. It's a huge complaint, so I'm gonna go out there and say, don't do that, GM, you're making a huge mistake. But they can do whatever they want at the end of the day. Up here, we have these kind of really nice seats. These are perforated because we have the ventilating seat option as well as the heated seat option. Those are all options, even on this Z71. We have these nice little red accents on the side as well as some red stitching. And we only have an optional, again, power or driver's seat. The passenger seat is a manual full operation there. So that's one thing to note out here. Up front on this steering wheel here, I think it's a nice leather wrapped, I believe it's a leather wrapped steering wheel, heated steering wheel, which is activated on the steering wheel right here itself. And we don't have any kind of adaptive cruise, we just have a regular style cruise control system. This is how you can control your configurable display. It's not taking up this entire dash area, it's kind of like this little blocked off piece. So we have this display right here. We also have a trip computer style display, a infotainment style display, so this will display music. Then we have a, was it frozen again? So I've noticed this a few times. It's actually frozen on me a few times. Look at that. So it glitches out. We have this more traditional style look right here, tack, and there's an off-road pages right here, so you can see your steering wheel, transfer case status, pitch, roll. I actually really like this display. This is my favorite, so I usually just leave it on that. Now we have our big main stalk here, and this is one big controversy because we don't have a dedicated light stalk anymore. So this is to control your blinkers, as well as you can flash people with this, and you can also control your windshield wipers from this stalk here. Though to control all of your lighting elements is built into the infotainment system. This button up here, honestly, I just leave it in auto all the time. You can also put brights and stuff on, so I don't really need to deal with that, but it's a little annoying that that's buried in there. I do like these little displays inside of these dials right here. These feel really cool. I like the integration of this. You also have physical buttons for your entire climate control settings, as well as ventilated and heated seats on this one, which is nice. You can also have a screen that can view your climate controls in the infotainment system, but you don't ever actually have to go into this because they will always be right here and easily accessible for you with these physical buttons, which I really like. Now over to this 11.3-inch touchscreen. I have to say it's very quick, very easy to use. It looks very premium. The display technology is very high end. Seems like there's a very quick processor on it as well, which is quite nice. And like I said, it has Google built in, so we have Google Maps built in. We have the Google Assistant right there if you want to kind of ask it something, and you have quick and easy access controls for your like auto high beams if you want to see your rear camera right there, or if you had the option for the 360 camera, you would see that. Hill descent control, doors, windows, so a nice simple access to a whole bunch of vehicle settings, which is really cool. And this infotainment system, and it's pretty simple and easy to use. I really don't have any complaints with it whatsoever. And you also have a My Chevrolet app if you want to use that as well. So good job, GM, on kind of building a newer, good infotainment system, but please don't take away CarPlay in your newer vehicles coming out. Down here, we have a weird button to kind of lower all of the windows at once, though, which is really strange that you can't put them back up. So then you have to go over here and manually put the windows back up, which is a little annoying. It kind of felt like they just threw in a button, just throw it in there, but it's an interesting little feature. We also have a quick button to turn on and off your auto stop start, which is nice. A quick button to turn off your kind of lane keeping assist, which is nice. And you have an auxiliary power unit right there, which is cool. And we also have a dial here for both our drive modes as well as our transfer case. So you have it in 2 high, 4 low, as well as 4 high. And we can put in auto mode, which I've actually just been leaving it in 2 high most of the time. And we also can turn this dial and it will change our drive modes, which is kind of cool. So you'll see on this center display, we have an off-road mode, we have a normal mode, a terrain mode, as well as a tow haul mode, and that's pretty much it. And if you go for the ZR2, you're gonna get a Baja mode, I believe, which is kind of cool. And you can even press these buttons, it will tell you little helpful hints, as well as kind of what's going on in each individual mode. So I really appreciate Chevy for doing that. And you can see that lighting control is always on every single display too, because they know you're gonna need it. It's kind of a crucial feature of the car. It's kind of fun. Otherwise, that's pretty much it with this interior. Again, the design and the tech in here is way nicer than the old Colorados, and you will definitely be pleased with this one. It's kind of how a little bit more of a luxurious style. Again, there's I think 1 or 2 packages this one's missing that will really add to it. Like I said, those 360 cameras. Other than that, this is pretty much what you'll be getting in kind of this top trim version of the Colorado. Okay guys, let's head off. Now we do have also a remote start on this one, so I can just double tap the key fob to get off and go, but that's a cool feature as well. Here we have our 8-speed automatic gearbox. So we have a drive as well as a low. We also have a limited slip rear differential, as well as this transfer case and some drive modes as well. So we can kind of cycle through a few drive modes. You can see pop up on this center display. We also have 2 high, 4 low, and 4 high. And we can see that on our configurable dash over here. What's going on with the transfer case and stuff, which is pretty cool. We have a reversing camera on this one with some trajectory and some towing help information here as well, though we don't have the 360 camera, which comes as another package, unfortunately. This one does not have, so even though it's almost around $50,000, it still doesn't have that package, which is, I think, a less than $1,000 package to get that 360 camera, which I think it should have, but unfortunately it does not here. Otherwise, we have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless charger, charging ports everywhere. Hopefully GM doesn't get rid of CarPlay in their new models, but it looks like that's where they're heading towards. Otherwise, it's pretty well-equipped truck. Digital dash up here, heated cool seats, automatic climate control, pretty comfortable seats as well. We have a sunroof. A lot of stuff going on here, but let's head out on the road and see how this thing drives, because I think it's quite nice actually to use on the road, especially since it doesn't have the raised suspension and the wider track that you'll get in the Trailboss or the ZR2. This one's a little bit more street oriented and just that flavor. Now, under the hood here, we have a 2.7 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It's a pretty beefy engine, 310 horsepower, 390 pound-feet of torque. This thing is not slow, I can tell you that. And especially in too high, when you're in rear-wheel drive mode, it kind of likes to spin the tires up on some loose pavement, especially in the wet as well. It likes to kind of fishtail a little bit, so I would just leave it in auto or 4 high if you're driving around. Auto is actually probably the best one to leave it in most of the time. I love all these different gauges to see all your coolers. So you have your engine cool, a diff cooler, as well as some oil temperatures there as well. And you can also see your fuel gauge. It isn't the best sounding engine on the planet, but it definitely gets the job done. There's a little bit of turbo lag just at the lower end, but that torque really hits really strong early on, as you'll see in a second. Spinning the tires there. It is a strong engine, and that really helps and aids with that 7,700 pound towing capacity on this one as well. This thing pulls hard, and you know, obviously it's a truck, it's not kind of like a sport vehicle, but you never feel like you have a lack of power in this whatsoever. I think that's a really fantastic feature here. And you have to remember, this engine actually makes more power and torque than both the old gas V6 as well as the diesel option that the old Colorado used to have, which is crazy. So really impressive stuff that's coming out of this turbo 4-cylinder, and I have to give it to the turbo technologies. Some really cool turbo technology going on here to kind of aid for that, and that larger displacement is really there for durability, especially with towing and hauling and stuff is there, if anyone really wondered why it's a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder. So yeah, it definitely has a lot of power and torque to kind of get you up to speed. And I think one of the really nice highlighting aspects of the Colorado is that it drives really well. And like I said, this one doesn't have the wider body or the crazy higher lifted suspension that you're gonna find on the Trailboss or the ZR2, and I think that really plays well for on-road usage. I think the Z71 is definitely more tuned to. As you can see here on the highway, you get up to speed, you can get up to speed pretty easily. And like I said, it has a regular style cruise control system here, so you really just kind of set your speed and it will stay at that speed. There's no adaptive cruise system on this thing. So it's set it to a speed limit here, and it's pretty much going to stay at that speed limit. And it has, like, if you watch my full review, it has that weird little thing where you can adjust this gap adjustment, and all this gap adjustment really is a warning system. So if it thinks you're too close to the vehicle up front, it'll adjust that warning distance, which is really peculiar. I haven't really seen that on many vehicles other than I think GM products. And of course you have that little a little bit of a red sensor up there on the dash. It'll beep at you if you get too close to the vehicle, and that's pretty much it. So no really advanced cruise control systems. So this one does get you the package that has blind spot monitoring, as well as I think rear cross traffic alert and a few other safety systems like lane keep assist. So it will bump you in and out of the lanes, but it's not going to kind of steer you in and out of the lanes. And that's quickly you can disable that with this big button right there really easily. On the highway, it's pretty quiet actually as well, which is quite nice. You are going to get some road noise and some wind noise from these windows. These aren't kind of like a luxury style acoustically laminated glass or anything, but it's generally quite nice on the highway. And I you know, another body on frame style vehicle Unfortunately, I haven't driven that many pickup trucks this year, but I drove the Toyota 4Runner, which is a older style body on frame. And while I have to say that had a much nicer and softer and more like luscious style suspension, this definitely feels way better in kind of just the general driving dynamics department. I really have to say I like the steering on this Colorado. Whether you're kind of in an off-road or an on-road situation, it doesn't feel dead off center whatsoever. Like, I'm making movements to the wheels directly, and there's no feel particularly, which you really shouldn't be expecting in this type of vehicle, but it's very smooth and it doesn't really feel truck-like, if I'm going to say it in that aspect. It feels almost regular, like a regular general SUV. Even it could be unibody in that aspect. Now, you will definitely notice over some corners you're gonna get the body roll and some stuff going on there, but it just doesn't feel like a truck, and I think that's a good thing in just general daily driving experiences. Yeah, that's about it with this truck. I wish we had kind of a bit of more of like an off-road style course that I could kind of take it on. Unfortunately, the road that I usually film my little dirt road videos is closed for some reason today. I think they're doing some kind of construction back there on the trail, so unfortunately I cannot show you guys that, because that's where I was going to film this. Otherwise, we are doing a full on-road tour today with the Colorado, and honestly it is pretty good on the road as well. And if you need to throw stuff in the bed, haul some people around, you have all of that capability here, and I think that's where it really does shine the best. And then also the 8-speed automatic gearbox is pretty smooth in its operation as well. Really no complaints there either. And you know, visibility is generally pretty good here. I guess I could say at some points the hood may get into way, but thanks to that it has that shorter style width versus the Trailboss or the ZR2, you don't feel like you're gonna be like hitting anything. Like, I don't feel super wide on the road. I definitely feel tall, but not super wide. And I think that's a nice little touch with this Z71 package. So I think truck buyers definitely have way more options than I think ever before, especially as this market just keeps growing and growing and growing. Though, thankfully, this new Colorado is more competitive than ever, and I think it is going to do pretty well once they kind of get more out onto dealers. And it's pretty cool colors too. You can get this really kind of limeish orange green color, this glacier blue, or if you want to go a little bit more subdued, you can go with black or white. Nonetheless, guys, thank you for joining me on yet another POV Drive video with Allcarnews, and as always, stay tuned for more coming soon. Cheers.